Live from Chattanooga, Tennessee, it's Nooganomics with David Tulis.
It's easy to make a common fallacy that suggests that if B follows A, that A causes B. I think Senator Todd Gardenhire may be fiddling about with that fallacy. In a speech to the Civitan Club on Friday, he effectively defends not the marketplace, but the established quote and the need to make more free classrooms available to a saturated market. He says that the state needs to plug the drain when it comes to financial losses in the state that result from a breakdown in education. The lead says in Emmett Gienap's story in the Friday edition of Chattanooga.com. According to Mr. Gardenhire, individuals who do not receive a high school education end up receiving more than $33,000 a year. Who receive only a high school diploma costs $30,000 a year. That seems to me a wonderfully inflated figure. I can't believe it. And those who attain some college education cost only $18,000. In other words, they're a net drain on society. Again, this is a stupendous suggestion. He said that it is only when individuals receive a college degree that the trend reverses, resulting in a $15,000 contribution to the system. Well, here you have a Republican senator saying that if you have only a high school diploma, you're a net drain of $33,000 a year on the economy. I just wonder if this is A, either accurately reported, or B, from the mind of a said to be a conservative elected official in the state Senate. Part of the problem, as Mr. Gardenhire sees it, according to Emmett's account, is that immigrants to the state, primarily Latinos, have not had residency long enough to receive in-state tuition, which means that higher education simply isn't an option. It's an issue, the story says, that is becoming increasingly important, as the senator estimates that by 2020 or 2025, Latinos will outnumber blacks in Tennessee. Well, what's interesting about this story is, aside from the fallacy that I'm going to describe to you, I'm going to give you the Latin, and then I'll give you the English. But it really, he's all about maintaining the status quo, and the status quo is not the free market. And it's interesting that we can have a senator who doesn't chafe anymore at the loss of liberty, at the loss of the free market. Our Tennessee identity. Well, I would credit the senator with being a realist. He is being very realistic that we can't shave really against this system because it's so long in place, and it seems so unlikely with 600 new students in the Hamilton County system, putting the toll or putting the census past about 43,000 children. There's no loss of credit even now in the factory school. But he does not come at this problem from a free market perspective, which is interesting because his whole livelihood involved in the financial services industry is about the marketplace to some extent, even though the bonds and the shares that he advises buying and selling as part of his profession are in a cartelized and crony capitalist economy. Still, even though that's true, there is a free market, and that you would think is the area of his expertise and the area of his order, the area in which he wants the people to expand themselves and to prosper. And we would have to suggest here at AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio that would be the free market. There's not much free market thinking in this Civitan presentation, if we are to judge the Senator Todd Gardenhire by the account of it by Emmett Gienap, the reporter for Chattanooga.com. Well, the fallacy is post hoc ergo propter hoc. Okay, that's the Latin. And it refers to that since A happened before B, then A must have caused B. This is a fallacy that we hear a great deal in discussing schooling and education. That people say that because there's a coincidence of high pay with master's degrees and doctorates, that therefore, because you have a doctorate or a master's degree, you have high pay. There's no correlation between the two. It is a very common fallacy that is inspired and instilled by the education media, Education Week, all the think tanks that are that feed off of the great cartel, the biggest industry in the country, which is the warehousing of children and the pretended effort to educate them, when really all that's really wanted for them is schooling. Schooling is all that's really desired. Education is something outside the scope and the scope of interest of the schooling system. Though there's much to be said for the people who are there who want to learn and who actually do learn something, and that we have to attribute that to God's grace and to the individual teachers who operate sort of against the theory of their employment. Well, this is David Tulis, and we are here at AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. Just slap a .com on there, and you can stream us live to your desktop computer if you're at work in one of those cubbyhole offices and you're doing some drudgery for the morning. You can hear all of our fine programs, including Eric Judd and our star, The Kid, Digital Drive at noon. Eric Judd is at 11. And Sean Hannity is in the afternoon. We are the station that covers local economy and the free market, and we are brought to you by Daniel Mitchell, who is a physician at the Chattanooga Sports Institute, who has just a terrific local economy idea, and that is having a relationship with her patients without the meddlesome bureaucraties, the meddlesome deal with her insurance free as well, to your advantage, even if you have insurance. Okay, just call Danielle and get an appointment. 875-1005, 875-1005. She's got a family practice, great interest in orthopedics. That's the sports angle, and also urgent care. And her name is Danielle Mitchell. Every other Wednesday, we have her here at This Doc is in the House at AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. Now, Senator Gardenhire has followed many others, hundreds of others, in people much better than himself, okay, in the post hoc ergo propter hoc fallacy, the fallacy that says that since A happened before B, then A must have caused B. There is no real connection between success and your schooling, the schooling that you have obtained from, you might say, the good people in Nashville. I've been at kind of at a loss as to how to start my show today, but I thought that would be a highlight and make you feel a little better about yourself if you can stand for a moment superior over our state senator, Todd Gardenhire. But don't forget, we all make that mistake, and we are fallacious beings making mistakes left and right. I know I've made my share of them. With blunders at home, where I'm rightly and soundly scolded for not thinking about what I'm doing. There's a story about a bit of local economy that I think is in the shadows, and you might say probably deserves to be there, though if more light could be thrown on it, it might go away. And it is reported by two TV station websites. It's on the sex slavery story. The TBI has joined with some other organizations. This was earlier in the month. The Chattanooga Police Department, the End Slavery of Tennessee Group, and Second Life Chattanooga, with the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, helped arrest 20 men. And to rescue 12 women who came forward to rescue services. One on the 16th by Eric Judd at TV12, our CBS affiliate. 20 people are busted in an undercover prostitution sting in Chattanooga. There's a quote from TBI Special Agent Margie Gwynn, and she says that that Operation Someone Like Me is a joint sting operation, and had undercover agents posing as female prostitutes with advertisements posted on Backpage.com, which is a kind of a classifieds online. The ads ran for 6.5 hours. She says, we had more than 100 contacts by different men. Over the course of that one day, we arrested 11 men that one day in Chattanooga. When it was all said and done, fake prostitution ads on Backpage.com resulted in 20 people in the end of a 4-day operation either being arrested or cited on charges related to human trafficking. In other words, you buy a person effectively for an hour, and as she's enslaved to you for the hour if you're the man. And she says, we know it's a supply and demand type of organization. So we go after the demand side by getting the Johns, and then we go to rescue these victims. When rescuing these victims, we try to target who is actually the pimp, someone who is the organizer, the enabler of these transactions. Chattanooga Police Chief of Staff David Roddy said that specifically the latter part of the investigation was designed to help and identify victims of the industry who have been forced or coerced into the sex trade. This was an enforcement operation, but it was also a rescue operation of people who are enslaved. Now, there are various forms of slavery, and many of them are internal to the victim. The victim believes that she cannot leave. She believes that there are no outs for her. There's no rescue for her, that if she somehow flees at a restaurant and runs out the back into another business across the alley, that she will be in an empty world of empty forms, and no one can talk to her, no one will hear her. And she fears that, and she won't move on account of the arguments made to her by her paramour pimp, who is partly abusive of her, partly leading her on amorously, leading her on as if he's really her big brother and her husband, and her boyfriend, and her dad, all kind of wrapped into one, with a sexual relationship to cement the deal, and yet constantly threats, because she is bringing revenue to him. And that there's a kind of internal servitude that slavery brings, and there are escapes that often the victim can't see. The victim can't see it, won't see it. And I think in many other areas as well of local economy, we have this kind of servitude, and that would be just having conventional ideas. Often I think if you have conventional ideas about how the economy works, how your rights attach to you, or how you attach yourself to them, that make us enslaved. We do things that we're not required to do. We stop when we're not required to stop. We pay when we're not required to pay, and we fill out forms entirely voluntarily, without there being a necessity of doing that. And the slavery that we have, well, legally, only government is allowed to have slaves, and that is the prohibition against slavery in the U.S. Constitution. Can be enslaved, they can be imprisoned, they can be forced to make frames for air conditioning units, to make decals, to make license plates, many other things as well, office furniture. I know one state, according to Mark Casson, has all of its, I think he said Georgia, has all of its office supplies in state bureaus built by slave labor. But slavery there are other kinds of it, and slavery is something that is part of the human condition. It attaches to us because we are sinners, and we are enslaved to sin, first of all, and then we end up being enslaved to invaders, to the wealthy, to the powerful, to the mean, right? To the angry. We enslave ourselves to them for fear of injury. We allow ourselves to be shackled, if you will, in human terms. That is to say, here at AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio, that the servitudes that we have are political and economic. And of course, there are, as the Christians heard yesterday in their churches around Chattanooga and around the world, there are slaveries against God, and to which men bind themselves. The men, there are two categories of men: those who are, you might say, the goats, who are eternally bound to the slavery of sin. They are the chaff, if you will, the tares. And then there are God's people, which the Christian church identifies as those who are granted, without any merit on their own part, granted God's grace to repent and to have a new life. And their servitudes are broken, but of course, periodically, since the effect of the fall of Adam is continual in the life of every person, there are descents back into sin. There are waverings and fallings away that even Christian people endure, and they are always given a lesson, and they always come out of them with a spirit of humility, because they have seen their temptation. They have seen the evil to which they have yielded themselves. It could be pornography, it could be a vice, some other vice, it could be ill temper, it could be neglect of wife, it could be harshness to children, it could be all kinds of things. It could be always giving over that you're going to do your child's thing for him, and he can never do anything on his own, because you're always there fixing it for him, making it, his woodworking project you end up making yourself, because you just can't trust him, right? He's going to get it wrong. And there are all kinds of little petty vices like that we let ourselves go to, some of which we have to repent of, and some of which I guess are just bad habits, and they're not really sins. They're just sort of proclivities that we need to work on. But there are slaveries, great and small, and here we have a report of lately of being Johns, of being patrons of prostitution, and 11 women freed, not accused. Now, see, there's some reason here. These women may have been committing the crime of prostitution, but they are victims, and they know they're victims. And there is in the relationship with the officers with whom they deal, there is a sense that I can be freed from this. I'm not bound. I'm not bound by this man and this circumstances and these constant moves from hotel to hotel across city borders, across state borders, and the like. So that I would say is a suppression of an area of local economy that deserves it. That deserves to be thrown down. If you have cooling problems at your house, or heating problems, that is now the issue, heat, make sure you contact Superior Air Systems. Call Bill Keith, and he will have any of his bright orange vans come to your business or your house and take care. Maybe there's no problem right now, but maybe you should have your system checked at the change of the season. It's good to have that done every change of season, from the heat to cool, and vice versa. Call Superior Air Systems at 886-6602. That's 886-6602. And you'll get a competitive and very high quality bit of service from Superior. Also, if you are involved in investing, as I am, trying to figure out where national economy is going and how to avoid the precipice ahead, you want to contact Patrick Neal of Edward Jones. He is the financial advisor. Edward Jones, the brokerage, the largest private brokerage in the country. And Patrick Neal is at 870-7894. That's 870-7894. His office is right next to the Target on Highway 153. He's just behind the Cohutta Banking Company building there. And call him or stop in, make an appointment. He's a man willing to give you time and willing to explain things to you, even if he eventually discerns in a bit of conversation with you that you're not a good immediate customer. No matter, he is still someone who has a very teacherly way. He really wants people to understand how things work, and is granting graciously of his time. He's very much about conversation and getting you to have a better sense of where you are, and then at some point, Patrick Neal will be able to help you. My name is David Tulis, and I don't believe in post hoc ergo propter hoc, the fallacy, the fallacy that says that since A happened before B, then A must have caused B. It's one I don't doubt, rather, that I have committed myself being a writer and being someone who leaves the leavings of my notes right here on the radio. That is what our show is all about. I'm the editor of Nooganomics.com, the website for the man who matters. It's not a popular website. Okay, I got that. It's not popular, and it's not popular because very few people really matter in the end. And yet there are some important trends that we look at there here covering Chattanooga. And today I have my I think my first detailed review, not really detailed, but it's a kind of a short review of the whole Uber cop question. We are thinking about the Uber cop as we hear of the Devin Guilford family in Michigan suing now after the officer who shot him 7 times. A young man who was on the street, shot 7 times. The officer has a little bit of blood on his face. The young man was tased and reared up against this officer. And after an unlawful stop, the family is seeking redress. This is David Tulis.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
After this chilly and frosty start, expect lots of sunshine for your Monday. A little milder for the afternoon, highs mid-60s. Tonight, clear, but not as cold, lows closer to 40. More sunshine, very nice Tuesday and Wednesday. Highs tomorrow, upper 60s, lower 70s on Wednesday. Join us at Abba's House Wednesday, October 28th from 6 to 8:30 p.m. for our annual trunk or treat. There'll be inflatables, live entertainment, and, of course, tons of candy. It's a free gift to our community from Abba's House. And I'm WDEF News Swell's Chief Meteorologist, Patrick Ford. On AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio.
The Fed raising rates, China's economy in trouble. Don't let headlines derail your long-term financial strategy. I'm Edward Jones financial advisor Patrick Neal. At Edward Jones, we provide the tools for a reasoned, disciplined approach to investing. Stop by my office next to the Target Shopping Center in Hickston, or call me at 423-870-7894. That's Patrick Neal at 870-7894. Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Member SIPC.
We've got a table here at Delia's in Saudi Daisy, ready to delight in a plate of authentic Mexican food. Delia's spreads a rich selection: loaded nachos, crazy chicken, homemade tamales, maybe the enchiladas with beef, chicken, pork, quesadillas. Every dish beautifully pictured on the menu to help us decide. Join us for lunch or dinner. We're at Delia's in Saudi Daisy on Dayton Pike near the Thrasher Light. Here's dinner. Delia's uses the freshest ingredients, cooked to perfection. Nachos, homemade. Delia's open every day except the Lord's Day. For lunch and dinner, treat yourself to Delia's genuine Mexican food. In Saudi, call 521-7145. That's 521-7145.
That smells so good. Smells like a big Italian dinner. But you're going to walk out with 2. Buy 1 hot pizza, get a 1 for free. 2 pizzas. You got the 2 for the price of 1 at Raphael's Italian Restaurant and Pizzeria. My favorite Italian restaurant of all the time. Now, I'm living in Hickson. I go to Raphael's right down the street in Hickson Pike, right near Highland Plaza. You're in Saudi Daisy? At Raphael's Italian Restaurant and Pizzeria in Saudi Daisy. Just next to Saudi Daisy Church of God. Hey, you're on Signal Mountain. There's a Raphael's Italian Restaurant and a Pizzeria. It's right on the main drag. You're going to love the pasta, the pizza. Buy 1 hot pizza, get a 1 for free. 2 pizzas. You got the 2 for the price of 1 at Raphael's Italian Restaurant and Pizzeria. Tastes so good. Bring the whole family. Come on, Raphael's Italian Restaurant and Pizzeria. Mangia. Salute.
Do you feel better outside your home or business than in? Indoor air quality is important. Mildew, mold, smoke, water, and rodent damage are prime causes of poor indoor air quality. Ducts, Indoor Air Professionals, better known as Duct Busters, cleans HVAC systems using 127 definable Duct Busters steps. Let Mark Thompson address the indoor air quality at your business to help reduce employee illnesses. Prevent fires by cleaning your dryer vents. Mark and his parents, Dick and Joan Thompson, have been building our local economy and helping local people with HVAC systems 16 years. Ducts, Indoor Air Professionals. Call 876-9907. 876-9907. Ducks. Call now.
Compass Media. The NFL.
News Talk 1240.
If it's the NFL, it's right here.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
Fox News Radio, I'm Pat O'Neill. Police in Fort Myers, Florida, is still seeking at least one suspect in the weekend shooting at the ZombieCon festival that left 1 dead and 5 injured.
A barbershop employee helped shelter some people.
Everybody's yelling, somebody was shot, somebody's killed, there's a body over there. We're grabbing them, making them come inside. It was pretty scary.
Investigators say 20-year-old Tyrell Taylor died at the scene, and they're asking attendees to share any photos or videos that might lead to the capture of the gunman.
Fox Radio's Rich Dennison. The U.S. and other world powers meeting in Vienna to sort out who does what now that the Iran nuclear deal is in effect, the agreement officially adopted yesterday. Joey Logano wins at Kansas, telling his pit crew on NBC. Logano's second straight NASCAR win after hitting Matt Kenseth and spinning him out. Denny Hamlin second, Jimmy Johnson third. The chase for the Sprint Cup continues at Talladega next Sunday. Fox News. We report, you decide.
Last Saturday, there was an important story in the bowels of the Chattanooga Times-Free Press, which said that Clay County schools were closing because of Obamacare and the surging costs there that made it impossible to keep the system open during, without raising taxes. There is a scheduled wheel tax vote coming up that may not pass. If it does pass, it will be some months before the system will be refused or reinfused with Federal Reserve notes for continuing operations. But a suit was filed, and I've updated my story at Nooganomics.com. There's a note about this from WDEF.com. That's TV12, our CBS affiliate television station. And the story is about the lawsuit by Tracy Ford and Christopher Kane in Chancery in Clay County. The suit was filed there and moved to federal jurisdiction, and the reason, the argument is, well, for equal protection, our children have to be subjected to public school just like those in other counties. They get the benefit of being subjected to it, so we have to have the benefit of our children being subjected to that wonderful constitutional requisite, necessary, compulsory, and free system of education here in Clay County. So the school apparently is going to be reopened on the 19th of October. I think the date I read elsewhere is that would of regular old Islam, your meat and potatoes Islam, which of course is militaristic, hostile, aggressive, and masked, especially in Europe. It's about a mainstream newspaper that's being blocked by Facebook. The editor of the paper is Eric Stephenson, and it's an interview with a writer, Halvor Fossli. The book, which came from this writer's hand, is Strangers in Their Own Country. And in the interview, Fossli explains that many Norwegians in the suburb of Grorud, in the Norwegian capital of Oslo, feel alienated or like strangers in their own community. It's not about skin color, but about culture, about religion, he said. Fossli is concerned about the development of immigration in Oslo and hopes that the book can be an important input to the naive view of integration. We here have been making efforts to contact Bridge Refugee Services in Chattanooga on just off of Highway 58 on Howell Drive. I haven't gotten any response back, but Bridge Refugee Services here is federally licensed, has a proper federal authority to receive refugees from the Middle East, and they will be coming here by the hundreds. We don't have details. There was a story a few days ago that to which I made a reference at Nooganomics.com, talking about the flood of refugees expected. But Bridge was, I looked a little bit on the website to find out more about Bridge Refugee Services. It was founded in the 1980s as an ecumenical 501c3 nonprofit agency with a Christian root operating in Knoxville and Chattanooga, and it is committed to quote, providing protection and assistance in refugees' inspiring journey from despair to dignity. We recognize their plight, resilience, and willingness to join our community and make it their own. You all are also welcome to become part of America's proud tradition of welcoming refugees, and come join us as we work together building lives in a new land. The founders are Barbara Mozingo, who moved to Oak Ridge, where Bridge was first envisioned. She had helped her parents, who in their own way were helping Norwegian immigrants settle in a community in Minnesota. Later, through her church, Barbara began devoting time to refugees. When she arrived in Oak Ridge, few refugee services were available. She quickly recognized that her own experience helping refugees would be useful in Oak Ridge, and she contacted churches and then met Sue Casera Hofer, and then these two women founded Bridge Refugee Services, of which we have it's called a sub unit or a subchapter here in Chattanooga. In Knoxville, the first Bridge office was donated by Aaron Presbyterian Church. First families to have been resettled in East Tennessee, including people from Liberia, Iraq, Moldova, Sudan, Burundi, Burma, and others. And of course, ecumenical is the idea of ecumenical in Christendom is that it has a view of Christianity in its largest scope, laying aside differences among the various sects, the various parts and branches of Christianity, such as, let's say, between Roman Catholic and Protestant, right? There's a great divide there. The Roman Catholics have, in the Council of Trent, I think it is, have anathematized all the main doctrines of Protestantism, but no matter, these parties will learn more about this marvelous local economy outfit, Trade Bank, in which we barter and improve our cash flow by trading among 400 local businesses in every field, great and small, local and national, regional. And the man you'll be talking to, or you could ask for, is Jürgen Mutz, the German with the Southern twang. I was in Cumberland County Saturday, late Friday, with a son with a Trail Life USA camp out in a valley along a creek under some trees. There were fields left and right of us, and in the distance were great hills. They're called mountains, but they're really just giant hills of the Cumberland Plateau at the high end of the Sequatchie Valley. That valley is a 60-mile ramrod straight valley caused by breaks in the earth, not by glaciation, as I had initially thought. But it's 5 miles wide and virtually perfectly straight, and runs from, you might say, the middle part of Tennessee down to the border. And had occasion there to shoot a shotgun. I fired about 10 rounds of another man's 12 gauge, or injuring my shoulder, it seemed a little bit, though I hit one clay out of the 10 I fired at. And the son fired a very small shotgun several times, maybe 10 or 15 times, and hit, don't think he hit any of the clays that went spinning out toward the tree line. We had a very long hayride that took us to the fount, which is a cave where the Sequatchie River has its root, its spring, and heard local men with some of them very fine teeth, and with the deep country accents. The family on whose property we stayed was the Umble family. It's Humble. The H is silent. Very Scots-Irish looking folk, and the man, the older man who owned the land, was a third generation lineman, and his son also is a lineman, teaching lineman trainees at TVA, about 250 of them a year. And there were weapons about, and campfires, and the Trail Life USA group very well equipped for having a pleasant stay in the wild. Though I must say the pleasantness sort of wore off for me trying to get to sleep, though under a sleeping bag and under a quilt over that. Didn't sleep very well Friday for the chills. and I think my son didn't sleep very well. I kept trying to ball himself up under his green sleeping bag. Well, it was something that gave me much thought about my life as a city man. I'm a city person and a kind of a literary person. And as a journalist, I'm always, my interest is, what are people doing? What are people saying? Who are they? Where have they come from? Where are they going? And I'm developing here at our radio station, AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. By the way, on YouTube, we are on YouTube, have our own channel. You can watch me live, and you can tell me whether you think my bow tie today is a good match or not. If you think it's a good match, you can send me an email, and I think I'll be wrong about it. But so if you think it's a bad match, don't send me an email, okay? Because I'll know that's what you're thinking if you're happening to watch us. I'm concerned about what people are saying and doing, and trying to improve our lives here in the local economy. Though in many ways, the idea of local economy is very country. It's a country idea. And as I was looking out from the movement of the wagon with all the boys and the dads there looking across the fields, and we went into a house that had been lived in continually from 1798, and it was a very old house that had been that had seen some additions added onto it, but the original floor, worn wood, has seen human traffic for 200 years. And not always in the same family, but the man who owned the house, as we drove up, said, "Y'all just go on in." And he was leaving in a pickup truck, and he just let perfect strangers go into his house and wander around. And there we stood, several dads and boys peeking into the rooms, and there was a fire going in the fireplace, a very warm fire. And it was in the evening. It was beginning to be a little nippy, and some of the boys had only their long sleeve shirts on and not much more. I was a little concerned about them. Thinking that they were a little cold, but we did enjoy briefly stepping into that house that has, I think, the oldest house in Cumberland County, and continually occupied since just after the war to liberate ourselves from the servitude of the British. The men, some of the men in Cumberland County, as we heard, fought against the British. There were two battles that an older Mr. Orm, the driver of the tractor, mentioned. He was just burdened to talk to us about the past and about the valley, very much identifying with his place. That's something I don't have a great gift in, and yet I'm trying to identify it. And is it possible to have that kind of feeling about one's place if it's a city? Is it possible? And it is possible, and I hope you, my listener, will consider with me how we can improve that. And how even a guy like me, David Tulis, and a guy like Chris Brooks, right, a progressive liberal who runs Chattanooga Organized for Action. Anyway, I would propose the market, and Chris Brooks, who's a family man too, a liberal family man, he would propose state action. And even so, though we see different remedies, I think there is a benefit because of our lococentrism, right? Because we somehow think, he on his side and me on mine, we think that Chattanooga is the center of the world, that there are means of communication. And I'm not one to break off communication, though people on his side, it seems, are very willing to break off communication with me through interactions on Facebook and social media. I'm the one who's excluded. Oddly enough, I've never excluded anybody. And I've invited people who think of me as their enemy, right? To have a say on our station, to have you meet them. I'm very eager to have you meet them, and not afraid at all of asking them questions and letting them have their say. I heard, just by the way, I heard yesterday on the Lord's Day, I heard a presentation about the Presbyterian Church. I'm a Presbyterian, and the elder giving the presentation about a conflict, a point of conflict in that assembly, gave the position of the party that's wrong. Okay, the party that he understands that I would agree with him is in error. What I noted as he gave his presentation was how graciously he presented the other side. The other side presented with its full meaning, presented to the listeners. Okay, and I think it's important to understand why you do that. You always present your enemy's, your opponent's view in its most favorable light. You don't knock down straw men. You present your opponent's view in its most favorable light, and you do that. I learned about that in writing court case briefs. And I noticed how the state, when it presented its description of my arguments, always made a very kind of flattering and winning description of it. I mean, it was very favorable to me. I thought, well, that's very interesting. And then I heard from an attorney that that's what you do. You always describe your enemy's position in its most favorable light. Why? Well, because when you tear it down and you show how it's wrong, you defeat it in its entirety. That's called, I'm not sure what the military term for that is, but you take it down. Methodically, okay, and in the end, your position prevails over the best of the enemy's positions. And in social context, I think that's a valuable thing to do, because that way you have a complete victory. You don't have just a partial victory. There's an essay I wanted to mention here by Wendell Berry from Harper's Magazine. It's been out for 7 years or so in Harper's, and I have a copy from it, and it's about limits, and the ideas that he brings up came to me in my outing in the sun and with the shotguns and the strolling about the fields Friday and Saturday. But before I mention that, I wanted to just throw something at you. You know, we often about thinking of the other, right? Dealing with the other, having relational dealings with other people. Local economy is winning because it has kind of an agrarian root, and it has also, as I discern it, as I try to discover it, it also has a great root in Christianity. And one of the Christian virtues is you might say imagination. And what it does is that it requires you to do unto others as you would have them do unto you. But I thought, well, you know, is there some way of improving that? And I've come up with an edit. I am an editor, and I'm always trying to make things read a little better. And so here's my edit on that sort of scriptural admonition. And I would say, rather have a local economy argument, make it a local economy argument. And here's how it would go. It says, do unto others as they would have you do unto them. Now that has a little bit extra vitamins in it, I think, don't you? It has a kind of double imagination. And it says, again, in a nutshell, do unto others as they would have you do unto them. So what that requires is that you not just do to someone else what you want to be done to you. That's fine. That's okay. But what about what can you do in terms of what they want? And that's the imagination that I think local economy requires. Local economy would be favored by that. But also, that's why I say it has a little bit extra vitamins in it. Okay, that's the basic admonition of doing unto others as you would have them do unto you is enriched by saying, again, I'll just say it one more time, then I'll let it go. Do unto others as they would have you do unto them. There's no you in there at all. It's all about the other person. And in the end, capitalism is that very thing. Capitalism, which requires character, capitalism, which requires thinking of the other, is advanced. Capitalism advances in that very way where you're thinking about your customer, you're thinking about the other person. You're trying to reduce his costs, right? You're trying to help him get more hits on his website. You're trying to get him to be found more easily. You're trying to get him to increase his revenues. You want your customer to have less breakdowns, right? You want him to have maybe newer equipment, which won't wear out as fast as what he's got now. These are the things that make a capitalist an entrepreneur. successful, that he is thinking about the other. And of course, that's part of Christianity. We were hearing at church about a sermon about loving your enemies. How can that not be a result? Capitalism not be a result of Christianity? If Christianity requires you to love people who hate you, well, certainly it's easier to love people who are your customers, right? Even difficult customers, you have to love your most difficult customer is there to try your patience and to give you a sense that you need God's grace to succeed and to placate the hostile customer who's just peeved as all get out, and of course he's always right. Of course he's wrong, but as you're presenting yourself to him, he's right, and you're going to make it right. You're going to make sure he's satisfied, and you give him a free extra month or whatever it is that you do to make good. You want to keep that customer because gaining a customer is much more difficult. Because keeping a customer is much more difficult than finding one. Well, Wendell Berry in his essay called Fasting Economics, came out at Harper's in 2008, really got my attention. As have a couple of his works. He's a novelist. And he talks about what he calls industrial fundamentalism. He says, but once greed has been made an honorable motive, then you have an economy without limits. His essay is about limits in the country, as I detected it this Friday and Saturday out with the son camping. Limits you have very much the sense of limits. They are physical. There are physical limits as to distances, getting places, to how far projectiles go, to how steep a hill a vehicle can climb, to how much dirt a bulldozer can push. It has no place for temperance or thrift or the ecological law of return. It will do anything. It is monstrous by definition, Wendell Berry says. In keeping with our unrestrained consumptiveness, he says, the commonly accepted basis of our economy is the supposed possibility of limitless growth, limitless wants, limitless wealth, limitless natural resources, limitless energy, and of course, limitless debt. That the debt story in the schooling sector is that is the latest bubble. And guess where all the debt comes from? It comes from government itself, not banks making the debt, but government is creating the debt and bringing generations into, the last generation into a perpetual servitude to repay Federal Reserve notes. The idea of a limitless economy implies and requires a doctrine of general human limitlessness. All are entitled to pursue without limit whatever they conceive as desirable, a license that classifies the most exalted Christian capitalists, of whom there are some, with the lowliest pornographer. And he talks about what he calls moral minimalism. However, it came about, this credo of limitlessness clearly implies a principled wish not only for limitless possessions, but also for a limitless knowledge, limitless science, limitless technology, and limitless progress. And necessarily, he says, it must lead to limitless violence, waste, war, and destruction. And I think he's getting obliquely here to the question of the modern nation state. That it should finally produce a crowning cult of political limitlessness is only a matter of mad logic. The normalization of the doctrine of limitlessness has produced a sort of moral minimalism. All right, again, a moral minimalism, the desire to be efficient at any cost, to be unencumbered by complexity. The minimization of neighborliness, respect, reverence, responsibility, accountability, and self-subordination. This is the culture of which our present leaders and heroes are the spoiled children. Our national faith has been so far, there's always more. Our true religion is a sort of autistic industrialism. I think that's a great phrase, autistic industrialism. People of intelligence and ability seem now to be genuinely embarrassed by any solution to any problem that does not involve high technology, a great expenditure of energy, or a big machine. Thus, an X marked on a paper ballot no longer voting, most needing to be done. That of neighborliness and caretaking cannot be done by remote control with the greatest power on the largest scale. A second problem is that the economic fantasy of limitlessness in a limited world calls fearfully into question the value of our monetary wealth. That is to say, your your paper money, your promises to pay, your assets, which are mere fragments of paper. This is David Tulis, and I do thank you for giving me a couple of minutes of your time here at AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. Support this station and support our advertisers. That's how we work. That's how radio works. To buy from the advertiser, and you buy from me.
After this chilly and frosty start, expect lots of sunshine for your Monday. A little milder for the afternoon, highs mid-60s. Tonight, clear, but not as cold, lows closer to 40. More sunshine, very nice Tuesday and Wednesday. Highs tomorrow, upper 60s, lower 70s on Wednesday. Join us at Abba's House Wednesday, October 28th from 6 to 8:30 p.m. for our annual trunk or treat. There'll be inflatables, live entertainment, and, of course, tons of candy. It's a free gift to our community from Abba's House. And I'm WDEF News Swallows Chief Meteorologist Patrick Ford.
On AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240. It's Rick Davis Golden Diamonds half-off remounting party going on right now. Rick Davis Golden Diamonds half-off remounting party is an affordable way to revitalize your jewelry. Don't miss the party going on today at Rick Davis half-off remounting party. Give your diamond ring a fresh new look or a new design, as Rick's Golden Diamonds will fix it quickly, or maybe even while you wait. Rick Davis Golden Diamonds, 40 years of service, 5301 Brainerd Road, 5301 Brainerd Road. Call 580-2587, 580-2587 for Rick Davis Golden Diamonds, an affordable way to revitalize your jewelry. The half-off party's going on today, so don't miss it at Rick Davis Golden Diamonds. Rick Davis Golden Diamonds, 5301 Brainerd Road. Call 580-2587. Rick Davis Golden Diamonds.
Hey, all you gun enthusiasts! Carter Shooting Supply has just bought a crazy load of guns and is having a crazy huge sale event. Going on now, a huge inventory of Smith & Wesson, Glock, Ruger, and Taurus, all on sale. Taurus guns have a mail-in rebate for $25 to $50. All long guns and all ammo on sale, too, just in time for hunting season. Come in and take advantage of this crazy huge sale event going on now at Carter Shooting Supply, or shop from home by going to cartershootingsupply.com. Highway 58, Harrison. Check our prices before you buy.
Are you tired of working in corporate America, or have you recently lost your job and would like to consider owning your own business? If you are, please call me, as I can help you look at franchises or business opportunities that fit you, the economy that we're in, and the type of businesses that are right in the greater Chattanooga area. After I help my clients find the right opportunity, I also help them find the best way to finance the business, including paying yourself through the startup phase. If you would like to learn more about opportunities that may be right for you, please call me for a free assessment. My name is Bruce Krebs at the Entrepreneur Source. Phone number is 423-875-5621.
Cell Surgeon, an affordable quick fix for your smartphone and tablet in the Northgate Mall next to Old Chicago Pizza.
We do the best quality work. We have the best customer service, the most competitive prices around.
Cell Surgeon, a painless operation to fix your sick device.
Well, if you have a cheap charger or something that's not really designed for your phone, it can mess with your battery. It can actually fry your phone. So you need to make sure you have a quality product that's going to be designed for your phone.
Cell Surgeon, your smartphone doctor is in the house at the Northgate Mall next to Old Chicago Pizza.
If you charge it in the morning and, by noon, it's at, 50% under normal use. That means your battery's pretty much dead. And once you've reached that point, it starts to deteriorate.
Cell Surgeon, call 423-668-0100 or go to cellphonerepairchattanooga.com.
We do free estimates. If your phone's not working properly, bring it in when we're happy to take a look at it and diagnose it and see what we think is wrong with it at no charge. Most phone repairs can be done in 30 minutes or less.
Cell Surgeon, an affordable quick fix for your smartphone and tablet in Northgate Mall next to Old Chicago Pizza.
Don't take it in the bathroom. Don't ever put it in your back pocket. And don't charge your phone while you're sleeping.
Cell Surgeon, an affordable quick fix for your smartphone and tablet in Northgate Mall next to Old Chicago Pizza. Call 423-668-0100 or go to cellphonerepairchattanooga.com. That's cellphonerepairchattanooga.com. Cell Surgeon, your smart device doctor is in the house.
Here you are, working to keep your customers happy and to manage your cash flow. IRS problems are the last thing you need, but here they are, flapping about you like vultures. Get help from Eric Pelton and his team of accountants at E.J. Pelton Company. Audits, letters, proposed return changes, 1099s, penalty threats. Pelton Tax Resolution Services brings peace of mind and helps you keep more of what you've earned. EJPelton.com. Offices on Brainerd Road and in Soddy Daisy, just north of the Bi-Lobe. That's E.J. Pelton. Call 622-3156. Think ahead. 622-3156.
If the South would have won, we'd have had it made. I'd probably run for president of the southern states. The day Elvis passed away would be our national holiday.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
WSDT Sunny Daisy, Chattanooga.
CBS News, I'm Frank Zetatani. Millions of people already have a drone. A million more could find one under the Christmas tree this year, increasing the danger to commercial airliners and other aircraft. A little over 2 hours from now, the government will announce new regulations for unmanned aerial vehicles. Drone fancier Bill Welch is okay with that.
There need to be regulations. I've flown in other places in the world with no problem whatsoever. We're kind of behind here.
One regulation calls for drones to be registered with the government. CBS News transportation correspondent Chris Van Cleve tells us that raises a host of questions.
How do they plan to require the registration? How is it going to be set up? How onerous is the process going to be? What kind of information are they going to ask for? Who's going to have access to the list?
For Congressman Paul Ryan, no, 1,000 times no has become maybe. CBS's Stephen Portnoy is live with the latest from Capitol Hill.
Well, the House comes back from a 10-day recess tomorrow, and those close to Paul Ryan tell us he's now open to running for Speaker. But Ryan is said to believe his conservative record is clear, and if his GOP colleagues want him to be the next Speaker, he won't negotiate with the House Freedom Caucus over the terms. Officially, that caucus is backing Florida's Dan Webster, and some in the group say Ryan will have to audition to be Speaker, just like anyone else who might want the job. Frank?
Will Vice President Biden run for president? CBS's Nancy Cordes has the latest on that.
There are some people saying that the vice president's decision is imminent, others saying it could be several more weeks. And the reason for the confusion is that there is really only one person who knows where the vice president is in his decision-making process, and that is the vice president.
Secretary of State Kerry will meet with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas this week. Kerry hopes the talks will help end a month of deadly violence that began at a Jerusalem holy site revered by Jews and Muslims alike.
I don't have specific expectations except to try to move things forward.
CBS's Jonathan Vigliotti tells us the latest incident took place in Beersheba in southern Israel. An Israeli Arab shot and killed a soldier. Police killed him, but they also shot and killed an Eritrean who turned out to be an innocent bystander.
There was a lot of chaos, a lot of confusion, and Israelis that were there actually mistook another victim as a possible attacker and started beating that person.
A federal judge has told Louisiana not to cut off Medicaid funding for Planned Parenthood services for 2 more weeks. The judge will use that time to decide the legal challenge to an order by Governor Bobby Jindal to block Medicaid payments. Are you worried about identity theft? Most of us are.
Almost 8 in 10 Americans, or 77%, are frightened or concerned of having their identities stolen to some degree.
Jana Herron with Bankrate.com says that concern increases as we get older. In early Wall Street trading, Dow Industrials are down 30 points. This is CBS News.
Hi, folks. Alan Thicke here. You know, some things in life are just too serious to take chances on, and owing money to the IRS is definitely one of those. The IRS has the power to garnish your paycheck. They can levy your bank account, even take your home or business. Seriously. Thankfully, with one simple call, you can start solving your tax debt once and for all. Optima Tax Relief is the leading tax resolution firm in the nation. They have over 250 professionals. They have an A rating with the Better Business Bureau and the trust of thousands of satisfied clients. Optima's attorneys can immediately protect you from aggressive collections because they are experts in the Fresh Start Initiative. That's a special IRS debt forgiveness program that could save you thousands. Don't wait till it's too late. Get serious. Call Optima now for your free consultation.
Call 800-956-6166. 800-956-6166. 800-956-6166. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
There could be a simple way to tell if you have a higher than normal risk of developing a deadly skin cancer. CBS's Vicky Barker has the latest from the Health Watch.
Count the moles on one of your arms. A study in the British Journal of Dermatology suggests that if the total comes to more than 11, you could have a heightened risk of melanoma, the most serious form of skin cancer. The researchers found the number of moles on one limb can predict the total number of moles on someone's body. The more moles, the greater the risk that one of them could turn cancerous, though doctors point out that the the vast majority are perfectly harmless. Vicki Barker, CBS News.
It began with angry words. Before long, the argument between two passengers on a Southwest Airlines flight to San Francisco got physical, and the pilot decided to return to Los Angeles, where the FBI escorted one of the arguers off the plane. The other passengers had to switch flights and were 5 hours late getting to their destination. Frank Cittipani, CBS News.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240. Live from Chattanooga, Tennessee, it's Nooganomics with David Tulis.
J. Marvin Herndon is a geophysicist and a nuclear chemist in San Diego. And in a paper about an Indian floodplain, that is to say in India, he brings up the whole question of stratospheric aerosol geoengineering. It's AKA, it's also known as chemtrailing. And he says, notably and alarmingly, profound increases in geoengineering activity have been observed since early 2013, and he has some references. But there has been no public admission, no understanding, no academic investigations, no informed consent, and no disclosure as to the nature of the toxic substances being dispersed in the air. And in two papers that he's published, one has been retracted. Now, this is a very interesting development. It's all within the past few weeks. A paper published in a public health journal that discusses the geoengineering situation was hastily and highly irregularly retracted by the editor. And Dr. Herndon, who's a kind of a scruffy 70-something scientist who's published many academic papers of all kinds of arcane topics pertaining to the core of the earth and whatnot, is fighting back and saying there's no justification for this. There may have been a minor mathematical error in one of his charts, but there's no way to justify casting out the whole paper. Now, what I've done at Nooganomics.com is to write a summary of the paper. It's still available. In fact, I have a link to the version of it he's made to which he's made a revision. And his argument is that the good people are involved in geoengineering the weather, and he accounts for it as starting in 2013. That's just about right. That's when I started noticing a change in the weather and a change in the light. The nature of sunlight is a lot whiter, is brighter than it was. It's not as warm as it used to be. And in fact, one of the dads, named Mike Barrett, who has a grandson at Trail Life USA, went with me this weekend on a camping outing. We've discussed this back and forth. He says he's noticed it too. For me, it's been about 2.5 years now since I've noticed the change, and that's been confirmed by Dr. Herndon's paper. Now, you can read about this paper at Nooganomics.com, and in fact, you can hear an interview that he gives to me about this question. Very methodical. A scientist, and his analysis is with 99% certainty that the material being dispersed is done on the cheap. The good people have not had to go to a factory to produce the Iron Dome, which is the shield against the sun, that great evil force in the sky, the sun, which is causing the planet to overheat, right? That's the standard sanctimonious argument made by the environmental lobby. And the same lobby that is silent on the official pollution that is being spewed into the air, injected into the air. Guess what that pollution is? Guess what it's made of? Guess how cheap? Guess how cheap? It comes to the government in a program that is behind the veil of national security. It is not entirely secret, but mostly secret. And you can see it in action, though, over Chattanooga many days. And you can count on me, your editor here at Nooganomics.com and at our radio station, to account for days of that and photographs of that. what is the substance? Let's just get to it. Well, the substance is coal fly ash. Coal fly ash, which is a waste product from TVA. It's a waste product from utilities around the country. And such a problem is it that it's kept damp. It's kept in mud form, in pits, in damp pits, kind of swamps, such as the one that broke open in 2008 in Kingston, Tennessee. Remember the Kingston sludge dam break? Well, that was coal fly ash, which is ideally kept damp because otherwise it just whiffs up into the air. It's like talcum powder. And if you don't make mud out of it, it'll just take off into the air. And so that's what's being spewed out of jets. It's very white. It's a kind of a talcum powder substance. And it contains aluminum, strontium, and barium. Bob Colby this morning is looking over with perhaps a slight edge of annoyance my latest open records request to find out the Chattanooga readings, right? We have continual readings in Chattanooga and Hamilton County of these elements. Now, aluminum does not occur naturally in the air. 8% of the Earth's crust, Dr. Herndon says, is aluminum, but it's not in the air. It's not something that belongs in the air, except when it is injected into the air by the weather modification program that is designed to save the planet and other purposes. Okay, you can ask yourself what the other purposes are, whether they be good or bad. I'll leave that to people better than me to speculate upon. But it is nonetheless something happening. Volcanic ash is not anywhere near as bad as coal fly ash because coal fly ash has bioavailable aluminum in it. That's why it's dangerous. Though the EPA, in a ruling not too long ago, a ruling that took a long time at which to arrive, is not a toxic waste. It is nonetheless toxic to breathe it. And aluminum is connected with many neurological disorders. And he says during the period between 2011 and 12, he collected he had analyzed rainwater samples that showed aluminum and barium, and 71 were collected from 60 different locations in Germany, one from France, one from Austria. Aluminum was detected in 77% of the rainwater samples at an average concentration of 17.68 grams per liter, and or G/L. The average barium concentration was found to be so-and-so. Strontium with an average of so-and-so. And he bases this analysis on his study of leached fly ash. Right, he takes fly ash, leaches it, and then compares what he finds in the water from that, and what follows after overflights of what I call sky striping jet traffic. This is David Tulis, and we are here at AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. There are a couple of interesting stories. There's going to be a lot of talk today on talk radio, and I'll join in the gaggle of voices just for a moment here about Mohammed Abdulaziz, the faithful Muslim martyr, who is not a terrorist now. He's not a terrorist, but on the 16th of October, Friday, the city celebrated its third anniversary of the mini Holocaust that he brought about, inspired by the Prophet Muhammad. And the Times, the Chattanooga Times Free Press, has a kind of tendentious presentation of people killed, and on its website, it's timesfreepress.com/thetoll, and it accounts for deaths and has a reporter keeping up to date the database of killings, and included in that is Mohammed Abdulaziz. And initially, because of a kind of a wooden usage of the forms, Mohammed Abdulaziz is viewed as a victim. This is what's going to outrage people, and notice he's not a victim, okay, but he is a victim in a sense, but not in another sense. The problem comes in when we find out about this gender male. Actually, his sex. He doesn't have a gender. He has a sex. His sex is male. His age is 24. Race, Arab American. Time, 10:58 a.m. Suspects. Okay, that's where people get hot under the collar. The suspects are 5 unidentified police officers. And of course, that's been changed. That was changed Sunday by discerning editors who realized, well, we need to put some more language in there to explain that, well, this is the bad guy. Okay, this is the bad guy who lost his life in a courageous act that in his his dreams and his reveries of his own piety, envisioned him with the virgins in heaven and Allah saying, have on, young man. And well, there's speaking of terrorists and the like, there's an item that it comes off of Salon.com, a reference brought up by Red Flag News, another website, and it talks about the surveillance. The threat, though, the threat is not the Muslims. The threat is are people who like the Constitution, right? People who say, "Am I being detained?" at traffic stop and say, "Am I under arrest?" Or who say, "Do you have probable cause, officer?" Or who demand, "Am I free to leave, officer?" These are all of course, very good questions to ask when there is a conflict of officer safety and your rights under the Constitution. The threat is not the Muslim, but the threat is the pro-government American who thinks the Constitution is still in effect, who believes in his rights under the law, the Tennessee Constitution, the federal Constitution, and who does not like the idea of being subjected to the police state. But the claims mentioned in this redflagnews.com account are from Mr. Snowden, the alleged traitor. He says he's talking about email addresses. The following information seems to be fair game for collection without a warrant. Email addresses you send to and receive from, the subject lines of those messages, the phone numbers you dial, the numbers that dial into your line, and the durations of the call, the internet sites you visit, and the keywords in your web searches, the destinations of the airline tickets you buy, the amounts and locations of your ATM withdrawals, and the goods and services you purchase on credit cards. All of this information is archived on government supercomputers and, according to sources, also fed into the main core, that's capital letters, of course, main core database. And the story says that as of 2008, it is well known the list had over 8 million people on it, and billions had been spent to expand the survey operations and identify enemies of the state. There's a source who is anonymous who's quoted as having said, "We know all this already." I stated, "He looked at me, giving me a look like I've never seen, and actually pushed his finger into my chest. You don't know, Jack," he said. "This is bigger than you can imagine. Bigger than anyone can imagine. This administration is collecting names of sources, whistleblowers and their families, names of media sources, and everybody they talk to and have talked to. And they already have a huge list. If you're not working for MSNBC or CNN, you're probably on the list. If you're a website owner with a brisk readership and a conservative bent," he says, "you're on that list. It's a political dissident list, not an enemy threat list." Well, this data is stored on a 2.1 gigabyte per hour database center in Utah is collecting it all. But in the end, these things are certainly dangers, and there are people on the overheated web world that are saying that martial law is just ahead. Well, I don't think martial law is just ahead, because it would be too disturbing, and then you would have open warfare. Open warfare would come with that, and you would have a military fracturing of the country. And I think the establishment, the good people, if you will, have way too much at stake for there to be that kind of unrest. So they're not likely to let that happen. They're not likely to bring that about. Though no doubt there are dissenters within the deep state who would think that it's a good thing to have. There's a story in the Wall Street Journal about debt and growth concerns reign on the deficit parade. The country has ultra low interest rates. Of course, that's called interest rate suppression. Last year, debt service costs for the U.S. government fell to 1.3% of gross domestic product, down from 1.7% in 2008. And the percentage of debt to gross domestic federal debt to gross domestic product is at an all-time high since World War II. At the end of World War II, it was past 100%. The debt of the national government was beyond the gross domestic product of the country, and that's a wartime phenomenon. We are, as it were, in a wartime phenomenon, though there's no war, right? We, of course, have the war on terror, so-called, and also the invasions of other countries, and yet we're still sort of considered a nation at peace and so on. But we have a great deal of debt. There's another story in the Wall Street Journal about the negative rate of interest. Remember, deflation is when the buying power of your dollar goes up. I'm looking at this question here from the perspective of the consumer. Deflation is good for consumers, for people like you as shoppers, because the price of things goes down. But what's happening, though, is that the system in deflation tends toward collapse. You have a collapse of the system, and the reason is because the money that exists, the currency, the means of circulation, the means of buying and selling, the medium of exchange, if you will, is all borrowed into existence. And to keep that system going, there has to be continually new borrowing, and there has to be non-payment. The system thrives and continues when the debt is not paid, when it's consistently rolled over. So the payment of the debt is not a good thing, because that reduces the money supply. So there's an effort to make sure that there's always more money being created, more credit being created, at a rate faster than debts are either being paid off or written down as losses. And so long it expands, there is going to be, one hopes, right? One hopes there's going to be continuing prosperity. Interest rates are so low that banks are troubled by big deposits from business, and some are charging big companies, charging those companies from having money on deposit. And that's from the Wall Street Journal. Big banks to America's firms, we don't want your cash. State Street Corporation has been charging some customers for large dollar deposits. People familiar with the matter said J.P. Morgan and Chase and Company has cut unwanted deposits by $150 billion this year by charging fees. And of course, the problem is low interest rates, and no one knows what to do. People who are forced to keep their money on deposit in the banking system are paid nothing for the courtesy that the bank extends of depositing the money with that institution. But of course, remember, if you're the depositor, you're the lender, right? If you're making a deposit, you are the lender and it is the borrower. And the banks don't want to borrow right now, is what we're being told. Domestic deposits are at $10.59 trillion. As of the latest account that's from the FDIC, from FDIC, and loans outstanding as share of deposits is down in the second quarter to 71%, according to FDIC. We have in the national economy many problems. I think one of them is the debt bubble in student loans. These debts are loans that cannot be written off ever. They are. And yet the government is trying to find ways to make that problem go away. And I'm looking here at Charles Hugh Smith's piece that came out a couple of days ago. The problem isn't student loans, he says, it's higher education itself. The debt level is $1.3 trillion. $1.3 trillion. Think, he says, how perilous that makes graduation. How do you start a family? How do you have money for rent? How do you have money to start a business? Can you do anything when you are saddled with $30,000 or $40,000 in debt? Or some students, even here in Chattanooga, have debt passing $150,000. How can you, as a 25-year-old with your bright master's degree, do anything with that kind of debt over your head? He has a chart showing parabolic curves almost starting immediately, starting in the early 1990s, almost a straight up line. Look here if you want to look at this on YouTube. The charts show an unsustainable pattern, a position of the people vis-a-vis the government that well, this is David Tulis. He goes on to say that the problem is the university system itself, which has added tens of thousands of administrative people, surpassing a number of those who are actively teaching. In all, he says, from 87 to 2011 and 12, the most recent year for which data is available. College employees, according to the New England Center for Investigative Reporting. There's just a mind-boggling amount of money per student that's being spent on administration, says Andrew Gillen, a senior researcher at the Institute. It raises a question of priorities. The number of employees in central system offices has increased sixfold since 1987, and the number of administrators to run them by a factor of more than 34. Well, this is David Tulis. There's something we want to look at next, and that is the question of policing and the church. I have the hope of discussing a piece that came out yesterday by Beth Burger. She's a former police reporter at the Chattanooga Times-Free Press and has been an editor, producer rather, at TV3WRCB.com, probably the most reputable, the best TV news station here in Chattanooga. And her story is about a shakeup in the city's gang unit, and she has the inside scoop, having talked with several people who refuse to be identified, who are called sources. And the issue seems to be that there are people who didn't like in that organization to be involved in things that are not law enforcement, and that is to say, in the sort of community development. If you're a cop, why do you want to be involved in community development, even though you're on the gang suppression unit? Those two don't seem to quite go together, and yet, in a way, they do. So the question is, what role does the Christian church have in improving the public weal? And what about units such as this one, in this paramilitary organization of the CPD?
In 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
After this chilly and frosty start, expect lots of sunshine for your Monday. A little milder for the afternoon, highs mid-60s. Tonight, clear, but not as cold, lows closer to 40. More sunshine, very nice Tuesday and Wednesday. Highs tomorrow, upper 60s, lower 70s on Wednesday. Join us at Abba's House Wednesday, October 28th from 6 to 8:30 p.m. for our annual Trunk or Treat. There'll be inflatables, live entertainment, and, of course, tons of candy. It's a free gift to our community from Abba's House. And I'm WDEF News Swell's Chief Meteorologist, Patrick Ford.
On AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio.
The Fed raising rates, China's economy in trouble. Don't let headlines derail your long-term financial strategy. I'm Edward Jones financial advisor Patrick Neal. At Edward Jones, we provide the tools for a reasoned, disciplined approach to investing. Stop by my office next to the Target Shopping Center in Hickson, or call me at 423-870-7894. That's Patrick Neal at 870-7894. Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Member SIPC.
We've got a table here at Delia's in Saudi Daisy, ready to delight in a plate of authentic Mexican food. Delia's spreads a rich selection: loaded nachos, crazy chicken, homemade tamales, maybe the enchiladas with beef, chicken, pork, quesadillas. Every dish beautifully pictured on the menu to help us decide. Join us for lunch or dinner. We're at Delia's in Saudi Daisy on Dayton Pike near the Thrasher Light. Here's dinner. Delia's uses the freshest ingredients, cooked to perfection. Nachos, homemade. Delia's open every day except the Lord's Day. For lunch and dinner, treat yourself to Delia's genuine Mexican food. In Saudi, call 521-7145. That's 521-7145.
Sky Aerial Services uses advanced drone technology to give you a better perspective and depth of your property and project. We offer aerial photography and video for your business, farm, home, or advertising campaigns, as well as editing services to complete the experience. Call us at 423-521-0284 and see how we can help you tell your story about your business, property, or project. We work with real estate professionals, both commercial and residential, developers, engineer inspectors, surveyors, ad agencies, auto and boat dealers, mapping services, insurance inspectors, corporate marketing, charity events, weddings, and photographers. Our consultation is free. Call 423-521-0284. That's 423-521-0284, or visit our website, skyaerialservices.com. Sky Aerial Services. The sky is our limit.
Do you feel better outside your home or business than in? Indoor air quality is important. Mildew, mold, smoke, water, and rodent damage are prime causes of poor indoor air quality. Ducts, Indoor Air Professionals, better known as Duct Busters, cleans HVAC systems using 127 definable Duct Busters steps. Let Mark Thompson address the indoor air quality at your business to help reduce employee illnesses. Prevent fires by cleaning your dryer vents. Mark and his parents, Dick and Joan Thompson, have been building our local economy and helping local people with HVAC systems 16 years. Ducts, Indoor Air Professionals. Call 876-9907. 876-9907. Ducks. Call now.
Compass Media Network's coverage of the NFL. Hi, this is Jerry Recco. Join Kevin Ray, Danny White, myself for all the action.
Fox News Talk 1240.
If it's the NFL, it's right here.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
Fox News Talk 1240.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
Fox News Radio, I'm Pat O'Neill. The U.S. stepping up efforts to help stop Mideast violence. Secretary of State Kerry to meet with Israeli and Palestinian leaders this week, today in Madrid, expressing support for Israel.
Israel has every right in the world to protect its citizens, as it has been.
In the past month, 9 Israelis and 41 Palestinians have been killed. Donald Trump repeating that the 9/11 attacks happened under President George Bush's watch.
This morning, he stuck by his remarks, saying, as President Trump,
if my immigration policies were in effect, I don't know that would have happened.
Jeb Bush wondered on CNN's State of the Union if Trump is fit for office.
I have grave doubts, to be honest with you.
Saying he thinks Trump is not taking the possibility of being president seriously.
Fox Radio's Rachel Sutherland. Central New York State getting an early blast of winter, up to 9 inches of weekend snow in the Syracuse area, leading to several accidents. Fox News, the report.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
Fox News Talk 1240.
Live from Chattanooga, Tennessee, it's Nooganomics with David Tulis.
Well, Senator Todd Gardenhire has committed a fallacy, and it's a very popular fallacy that people make very often on the topic about which he spoke Friday at the Civitan Club. The post hoc ergo proctor hoc, which means, which says effectively that if B follows A, then A caused B. Post hoc ergo proctor hoc. So in other words, if you go to school and get a degree, then you'll get higher earnings. That's the fallacy. It often happens. There is a coincidence of those two things, but they are not a cause and effect. There may be some benefit if you come out of Harvard with a bachelor's degree or a master's, that you're going to get a fellowship or a better job out of the starting gate. But the benefit may last 3 years as you all have in the marketplace. Your grades and your degree name are of less value. He says that here's effectively what he's saying, that if you have a high school degree or a high school diploma, that you're not really worth that much, and that you in fact are a drain on the public wheel. This is a dangerous area upon which to tread, I would suggest, especially for a man who believes in the free market, a conservative Republican who you would think has the basic ideas about value and about should favor the voter, favor the individual who has a job, and favor the capitalist and the business owner. He says individuals who do not receive a high school education end up receiving $33,000 a year annually from the government. This is according to Emma Gienap. Now, Emma Gienap is a reporter writing at Chattanooga.com, so it's possible we're seeing this through his report. So it's possible that diploma costs $30,000 a year. Okay, so if you have a high school diploma, you're a little bit less a drain on the public. And those who only attain some college education cost $18,000. But he said that it is only when individuals receive a college degree that the trend reverses, resulting in a $15,000 contribution to the system. Well, I'm so to question Senator Gardenhire about this, though he is the second vice chair on the Senate Education Committee. And speaking to the Civitan Club, says effectively that people with diplomas are drains on the system, whereas those with degrees, with college degrees of some kind, who complete their studies and get the paper, result in a $15,000 contribution in the system. So in other words, there's a diversity of about let's see, that's about $48,000. You're a drain at one end, and you're a gain to the system, as he says, on the other, if you have that degree. Well, that's post hoc ergo propter hoc. That is not true. These are not. You don't cause value to yourself or to the system, as he describes it, by having a college degree. Those are coincidences. They are not cause and effect. And B does follow A, but A does not cause. A does not cause B. Well, this is David Tulis. Love your neighbor and buy local. We think that near is that's small. We've got a phone call, and this is David Tulis, and you're live on the air.
Let me give you another perspective on this. I think maybe he's right, because remember what the system wants. It wants 100% of your time, your money, and your obedience. So if you're a good little college graduate and you have a degree, you're going to give up at least half of what you earn to the system. And you're going to have college loans, which once again, you're going to give it to the system. And it all comes down to the system, the Federal Reserve banking system, the governmental system. So those who get more degrees have to give over more of themselves to the state. Not only are they giving over their intellectual capabilities of reasoning, but they're giving over their substance, their time. If he knew that way.
And okay, thanks. Well, the caller is suggesting that those who have degrees and have that, as Todd Gardenhire says, that $15,000 contribution to the system. Of course, these are very vague words, and we're not sure exactly what his sources are suggesting. But those who have degrees are having greater value to the machinery of the modern industrial economy, the modern indebted, credit-based industrial economy. But what's so sad, though, is that Senator Gardenhire in pumping public education says that if you have just a diploma, you're a net drain. I'm highly skeptical of this suggestion, and it's very possible that the reporting is incorrect, but I'm willing to believe that Emmett Gienap correctly represents this speech before the Civitan. On you try Delia's. Hang on, got another call. This is David Tulis, and you're live on the air.
David, great show. I don't normally call back twice, but I just wanted to point out that most self-made millionaires in our constitutional republic do not have a high school diploma. Most self-made millionaires do not have a high school diploma. That's number one. Number two, I want to congratulate the Gig City and EPB for 10 gigabyte service, the fastest in the world, which means local economy will grow because businesses will be coming here because we have the infrastructure, like having good roads and great communication systems. We are the fastest internet in the world here in Chattanooga. 10 gigabytes. It's mind-boggling. The economy is going to explode, and it helps local economy. I'd like to hear your take on that.
Well, my take on the 10 gig system is that it's used by very few people, and it is a public utility that's subsidized by the federal government, and is another form of overcapacity. And that what I mean is that even if you run a university, you're at the very low end of the spectrum for what you actually are using. And I have this from David Snyder, who runs RevTel, the ISP in Dayton. He says that that even a university has really a fairly low demand for bandwidth. Very few applications require the bandwidth that's available with that 10 gigabytes. And so what you have a tremendous marketing point. You have a tremendous way of saying you're the first and you're the best and you're the greatest, but very few people actually use that. I mean, most people, with a few business and scientific exceptions, don't need that capacity. They're at the bottom rung of what's available. And in a way, the gig system is a bridge to nowhere, like that bridge in Alaska that just ends up going halfway to an island and then stopping. It's something like that. It takes you to a great place, and then there's no reason to go there. There's no reason to end up on that island or halfway to that island. And again, the problem is when you have free money, you overbuild, and we have that problem in the national economy. We have tremendous overbuilding. Look at the overbuilding at the university level. Why is the debt so high? Because the money's free, right? The money's free. Yes, there's a slavery that attaches at the end of it that will attach even your Social Security benefits if it takes you that long to pay off your loan. We have such price increases at the university system because of padding, and all that padding is brought about because of the free money that comes with the students. And so free money always creates overcapacity, and you have administrative overcapacity tenfold in the university system, and you have consumption for it. So you have the free money paying for all these people's wages. Everybody's got some specialty in the pedagogical or research field, and there is a tremendous amount of waste. When money is free, look at what people waste. Think about yourself. You, my listener, if you're given $100,000, will you carefully invest that money, or will you begin a spree of buying things that are purely from your desires, purely from the base of your coveting nature, suddenly enlivened by the arrival in your account of that money? Well, you're probably going to buy things that are simply foolish. You'll buy gadgets that you don't need. You'll buy boats you don't need. You'll buy a rifle you don't need, a telescope you don't need, and a vacation that's purely a lark that costs you $8,000 and the like. And that's what happens when money is free. The things that are bought are not essential. And these are, in the largest sense, these are market signals that say, hey, distortion is good, distortion is fine. There is no distortion. Okay, that's what free money does. It tells you that there's no distortion. And so in internet capacity, we have a huge capacity. You have effectively a Target-sized store, and in the front, you've got a sandwich shop, right? The whole building is surrounding this one sandwich shop, which is the use of that space. Well, I know it sounds kind of funny, but you can see what I'm saying. Of the empty Target store, which is capacity that could be filled by somebody, right? We need to just get people in here by marketing our city to use this capacity. We need to make sure that people will come in and waste all the space they can to justify our building this building. Well, this is David Tulis, and we are brought to you by Cell Surgeon next to the old Chicago's Pizza in Northgate Mall. Again, that's Cell Surgeon. It's open on Sunday. The number is 668-0100. I want to tell you a little bit about Beth Burger's report at WRCBTV.com. The headline is a major shakeup in the gang unit. This is a piece of detailed writing that comes from Beth's long newspaper and she calls it a mass exodus. That is a show of no confidence, a vote of no confidence in the chief of police, Fred Fletcher. A source at the department said instead, officers were being asked to address quality of life issues for offenders rather than focusing solely on enforcement. I think that's the key point as to why all the members of the street crimes response team, 11 people, have requested transfers. They've done that since the beginning of the month. And their last day, she says, will be October the 30th. Members submitted transfer requests, all asking for patrol assignments. And what they didn't want, they didn't want the community policing aspect of this street crimes response unit, which earlier had been called the crime-suppression unit, I believe. Let's see, there's a quote here from Mr. Roddy, who is the chief of staff. He says, some individuals in street crimes may not have felt like that was their strength. We have people who want to be in those roles. We want to give unit members an opportunity to be happy and healthy in other roles. Members of the street crimes unit were told to dress in uniform rather than wear cargo pants with tactical vests over T-shirts as they had for years. The hope was that they would be more approachable to the general public. I'm not sure that's, I don't understand that, because cargo pants would seem to make you more approachable than a dress uniform. The name of the unit changed from Crime Suppression Unit to Street Crimes Response Team. Beth Burger is reporting. That's at WRCBTV.com. This group comes from an effort by Mayor Andy Burke to fight criminals in the particular, right? To take them down, in particularly one by one, using criminologist David Kennedy's so-called focused deterrence concept. And Lacey Stone, the mayor's office, said, it's the mayor's understanding that there are some employees who want to transfer to other units, and Chicago and Chattanooga Police Department is working to accommodate their requests. It is also our understanding that there has already been significant interest from other officers within the department in filling out the vacancies created from those transfers. Well, that's a big enough story here in Chattanooga. And what I wanted to get to is something that touches in the idea of local economy. So here we have police department, which is a military organization, and is trying to effectively make war against aggressive young men, often minorities, who are members of gangs. Gangs are simply clubs. And they have, though, a kind of masculine interest. They're very aggressive, tough. Their testosterone levels are heightened by conflict, by keeping turf, by minding the border between one club and the other. And, of course, to fund their operations, sometimes they involve themselves in the sale of illicit products, such as narcotics. And then there's also some probably economic threats of protection, the rackets. We are here at AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio, and we want to talk now with Beth Burger, who is a news producer at WRCB TV.
Hi there.
Beth, thanks for coming to the studio. We're talking with Beth Burger. She has a big story at WRCBTV.com. Give my listener, Beth, a summary of what you've been reporting the past couple of days.
Well, what's been going on is I've received a number of tips, I guess, throughout about a week and a half, that most, if not all, the members of the city's gang unit, the Street Crimes Task Response, had more or less quit and asked for reassignments to patrol, and I was able to confirm that on Friday.
Now, why not? Tell us why these men don't want to be there. Is it something to do with uniform? Is it something to do with the way their job is given them to do? Is it the community policing part of their work that they don't like, and they rather have a kind of military suppression activities? Where is the grievance?
From what I've been able to tell, and I had a total of 3 sources within the department who were able to talk to me a little bit about what they heard and what they were hearing. And there has been a tremendous culture shift at the police department, and that was one of the things that Deputy Chief David Roddy was pretty honest about when I spoke to him on Friday afternoon by phone. And if you look at the flyer for the job, which I forgot to bring with me, it does talk a lot about police addressing quality of life issues, which traditionally, I don't think that's something that's ever really been expected of law enforcement. It's not why a lot of these guys went into the academy. I think a lot of them start out in their jobs wanting to make a difference and help people, but that's not in the way they typically envision it.
So they view their role as arresting, chasing after someone, surveillance, catching a known malefactor, a known gang member, say, approaching a target, and then if there's, let's say, a shootout, they're there to maybe catch him. That's what they want to do. They don't want to be involved in helping a gang member's mother or grandmother fix an air conditioning unit.
Right. I mean, I think there is some feeling of that. I mean, and it goes down to why. I mean, I think it's a great discussion to have. I mean, when you call the police, what are you calling them there for? There is certainly room, I think, to address quality. I don't think you talk about poverty and other issues like that, because it's pretty complex. But yeah, should police officers be the ones addressing that?
Right. Okay. So the question is, should police officers be involved in things which ordinarily would be handled by family members, neighbors, or a local association or club, or the Christian church, where you have the deacons who look at on.
Social work.
What you're suggesting, Beth Burger of TV3, what they don't like is having to deal with sort of human maintenance as opposed to policing, surveilling, and catching the bad guys, which is what they were trained for at the academy.
I honestly did not speak to all of them, so I can't really say that's the case for all of them, but yeah, I mean, I've heard that's
a fair broad stroke.
Right. Then. And I mean, honestly, in talking with numerous sources, both inside and outside the police department who are involved with criminal justice, I've been told that one of the biggest challenges with VRI and I guess orchestrating this has been officer buy-in.
And how are officers encouraged to buy into the program, into David Kennedy's theories?
Well, it's supposed to be focused deterrence, so it's supposed to be focusing on a small section of the population and going after those guys and making sure that they are that they try to put them away. They try to build cases, and that's not something that's easily done with the laws that we have on the books and with the sentencing that's out there in our state.
Beth Burger, in your story, you make mention of dress uniforms versus cargo pants. Can you explain what the change of dress has been? What's that about?
That happened a while back when Chief Fletcher, Fred Fletcher first took over about a little more than a year ago, and I was told that was one of the first things that actually did change, and it was something to make the officers a little bit more approachable in this unit.
To wear their military blues then, as opposed to civilian clothes.
As opposed to civilian clothes. I mean, some people would say that it's actually more military to have the tactical vests on with the cargo pants. So that it was actually moved to put them in marked patrol cars and wearing a regular police uniform, right? They're blue dress uniforms.
And what is the morale in that unit? If people are leaving, I guess you can say there still is a unit, so the morale is, I'm not happy here, I want to leave. And there are other people who are going to be applying for these positions. Will they get their transfers if they ask? Is it automatically that they get awarded that?
What I've heard lately from a few people is that everyone had requested transfers out of the unit, with the exception of one sergeant by the name of Danny Jones. He's staying on, and he was one of the field supervisors. But yeah, I mean, they've all requested patrol, and according to Deputy Chief Roddy, they will all be given an opportunity to transfer out of there, and it looks like most of them probably will end up on patrol. They're there till the end of the month is what I'm hearing, and then after that they'll have people ready to take on that new job. And from what I've been told, they're hoping to find people who want to do that kind of work. Overall at the department, I can tell you that there's been talk of not feeling like they're not sure this administration would back up officers in general. So, and I think this is a unit that's pretty hard to kind of lay low if you're actually tasked with going out and trying to carry out this mission of this initiative.
In a building not far from the county courthouse, there's a part of the fusion unit, which uses digital surveillance and data mining to help locate areas of crime. And there's a kind of a pre-crime storyline being developed, as it's been reported by one of the TV stations in the area, which I've repeated at Nooganomics.com. And does the crime suppression unit use that kind of data? Do we have any knowledge about that, Beth Burger?
Actually, I'm not sure what they use. I mean, my story didn't focus on that, and I used to, of course, as you know, cover law enforcement full time in this area, and that's not one of the angles that I've pursued. So I can't speak to that. I can tell you that for a number of years, this department was looking to hire a number of crime analysts because they wanted to do more data-driven policing, more intelligence-led policing.
Well, data-driven policing is the word that we've heard used by the administration.
Correct.
And I think that's what's in view, that we will use signals, we'll use programs and software to suggest, okay, these people are in this area because we know them, we know their signatures, therefore a crime is likely to happen. We'll put 2 police cars in that area in the next hour as opposed to just the regular pass-through. And that's the idea. Well, this is David Tulis. We're talking with Beth Burger. Beth, thanks for joining my listener me here at AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio.
Thanks.
Beth Burger is a producer at WRCB TV, TV3. And this is David Tulis. Thanks for giving us a couple of minutes of your time. I've got some things I want you to hear. Thanks.
After this chilly and frosty for your Wednesday highs tomorrow, upper 60s, lower 70s on Wednesday. Join us at Abba's House Wednesday, October 28th from 6 to 8:30 p.m. for our annual trunk or treat. There'll be inflatables, live entertainment, and, of course, tons of candy. It's a free gift to our community from Abba's House. And I'm WDEF News Swell's Chief Meteorologist, Patrick Ford.
On AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Are you tired of working in corporate America, or have you recently lost your job and would like to consider owning your own business? If you are, please call me, as I can help you look at franchises or business opportunities that fit you, the economy that we're in, and the type of businesses that are right in the greater Chattanooga area. After I help my clients find the right opportunity, I also help them find the best way to finance the business, including paying yourself through the startup phase. If you would like to learn more about opportunities that may be right for you, please call me for a free assessment. My name is Bruce Krebs at the Entrepreneur Source. Phone number is 423-875-5621.
Sky Aerial Services uses advanced drone technology to give you a better perspective and depth of your property and project. We offer aerial photography and video for your business, farm, home, or advertising campaigns, as well as editing services to complete the experience. Call us at 423-521-0284 and see how we can help you tell your story about your business, property, or project. We work with real estate professionals, both commercial and residential, developers, engineer inspectors, surveyors, ad agencies, auto and boat dealers, mapping services, insurance inspectors, corporate marketing, charity events, weddings, and photographers. Our consultation is free. Call 423-521-0284. That's 423-521-0284, or visit our website, skyaerialservices.com. Sky Aerial Services. The sky is our limit.
Cell Surgeon, an affordable quick fix for your smartphone and tablet in Northgate Mall next to Old Chicago Pizza.
We do the best quality work. We have the best customer service, the most competitive prices around.
Cell Surgeon, a painless operation to fix your sick device.
Well, if you have a cheap charger or something that's not really designed for your phone, it can mess with your battery. It can actually fry your phone. So you need to make sure you have a quality product that's going to be designed for your phone.
Cell Surgeon, your smartphone doctor is in the house.